didn't see you there. Hello. My name is John C. Riley Smith III. Let me take you on an adventure to my past days as a Revolutionary War soldier. The Revolutionary War started on April 1775. The first shots were fired in Lexington, Massachusetts. The Continental Army and the Revolutionary War were sometimes not supplied to the greatest extent. For example, sometimes men were cut short of certain supplies like food, ammo, and more commonly, clothes. The conditions of Valley Forge was an example of the shortage of supplies because of the harsh winters and lack of clothes for the soldiers. The common soldier was equipped with a certain set of clothes. It contained a heavy linen shirt, breeches or overall pants of linen or wool, a waistcoat or vest, wool socks, which in some cases were hand-knitted, shoes that could be worn on either foot because they were not constructed with a right and left system.
The food was not in heavy supply either. Each soldier was issued a ration of food. A day's ration of food for a soldier consisted of a pound of meat, a pound of bread, 4 quarts of dried beans or peas, and 4 quarts of rum. Rum was used in substitute of water and other beverages because back in the Revolutionary War, water was not very clean, and rum was considered the cleanest beverage available. Also, these supplies were not guaranteed. Soldiers were very lucky to even receive 1/2 of that. Also, the food wasn't always in the best condition. For example, the bread was outstandingly hard, and the soldiers usually had to soak it in warm water to even be able to eat it. The bread was so hard because it was simply made from only water and flour. The purpose of making the bread like this was to preserve it and so it didn't spoil for long periods of time. The soldiers usually made the stews with the dried beans and meat that they were supplied with. Also, the soldiers were supposed to mix their rum with water to dilute the alcohol. On special occasions, soldiers were issued extra rum on holidays, or for a comfort after a defeat.
The Continental Army did not have a wide variety of weapons. They had the most common rifle, which was called the musket. The musket could only hold 1 shot at a time, which had to be muzzle-loaded with gunpowder. The musket was used by both the Continental Army and the British Army. These muskets were called flintlock muskets. Flintlock meant that the hammer had a piece of flint on it that when struck creates a spark that ignites the gunpowder that creates the explosion that powers the shot. These guns were not accurate at all. The best bet a soldier would have had was to fire into a group of opponents. Soldiers also carried bayonets, or knives, attached to the end of their guns, so in times of need it could be used as a close-range weapon. Women did not have any extraordinary roles in war. They did, however, have important duties, such as when women were needed, they helped out by bringing food and water to the soldiers. Even in some circumstances, women occasionally dressed for battle and fought alongside men. Soldiers' living spaces varied greatly, but for the most part, it is understood that simple tents and occasionally crude-built log cabins or shelters were used. These living spaces were often extremely crowded and cramped. Military life was not very clarified during the Revolutionary War. One thing that was heavily understood was that it was extremely harsh. Cold winters, terrific battles, poor living conditions, and terrible food contributed to its harshness.
The Continental Army was also well trained. In the beginnings of the war, they had little to no formal training. This changed as the war progressed. The Continental Army had to assemble at 8 o'clock every morning for roll call. Spaniards trained and drilled soldiers to the point where they had a strong enough fighting force to defeat the British.
Thank you for coming along on this journey with me. I hope you had as good of a time as I did. Now if you'll excuse me, I have some unfinished business to take care of.